orange ones, but this time it was the red buses. Terrible.
So what is it that you miss the most from Alaska? Other than family and friends?
I miss the 19 hours of daylight in the summer. I don't miss the 6 hours of daylight during the 4 months of winter. Can't say I miss my friends since I don't have any, and my family are fundamentalist Christians, so yeah. If I want to remind myself of what I left, I can always go to the Hallmark counter and buy a card that says Jesus loves you on it. I became an atheist 3 months ago, and yeah, it's one of those things. I think on West Olympic, whatever street the convention has all of those huge posters for anime. There's some guy holding a huge sign with a megaphone screaming about the end of the world.
Yeah. We have to repent.
Oh, wait,
I mean,
that's not us.
We're Christians, but that doesn't mean everybody else around us. To each his own.
Yep. Yep. Well,
we don't judge, at least my family. We don't judge, we don't push, we don't shove down,
I was making a joke with the last lady who isn't religious. Extreme forms of Christians.
Yeah.
They're more worried about people's butts than they are their feelings.
I mean, the last thing that again, I'm Christian, but, just the basic stuff that I know, Jesus says to love everybody. It doesn't say if you're straight, if you're white, if you're black, if you're gay, it just says love everybody. Simple. That's it. That's what we have to do. Because the last thing I know is I want to get an answer for my stuff. Nobody else's. Only mine. So.
Yeah, certain Baptist churches, they don't like the idea of distributing the wealth. We call that socialism, or feeding the hungry, and I'm thinking,
that's what pisses me
how
off.
do you read the Bible and see that Jesus did certain things?
It's clear that we have to love the foreigner, the immigrant, as our own. We have to feed them. We have to look out for the homeless. We have to look out for the in need, the widows, the orphans. But yet, for some reason, they don't know that verse.
I mean, if everybody accepted their children the way they were, 93% of suicides would not happen. Most children wouldn't be smoking. But
some people, they're fucking nut jobs.
I grew up in a family that is so much like the Duggars.
Oh.
At least we didn't have a Josh. Unless you count that music minister planning pornography on a pastor's computer.
When you think about it, sometimes those are like the worst. Like the ones that are like, hardcore are the ones with the worst dark secrets. And it's like, wait, you're a what?
You never know a pastor or a political opponent until you find out who donates to them and supports them and what their search browser history is.
Exactly, yeah. That's why I tell my son, you know what? As long as we believe, you don't judge, you don't, criticize. No, you do you. Let everybody else do what they want. In the end, we just have to love each other. That's it.
I ran into a guy I picked up. He was a transphobe, and he says, "What's wrong with being transphobic?" And I said, "Imagine a guy wearing a military uniform with a mustache, saluting, and it'll come to me." Don't like trans people or try to take away their rights. It's right out of the textbook we know as Hitler style.
That's what I don't understand. Like, how does that affect you? Like, in your daily life, how does that affect? It does. It's why even worry about it? Worry about your own stuff,
Because they don't want to lose their white privilege and hetero privilege.
That is. That's what it comes down to.
They're more worried about where people's butts are than they're worried about who is touching their kid. It's funny though. Funny. I was actually called a como on YouTube a few days ago for trying to get parents to not opt out of teaching their kids about different people. I guess now it's child grooming to tell parents they need